Hey ladies and gents, and welcome back. Today, Heath and I are beyond excited to welcome a very special guest to our channel, Mr. Hugo Jacomet, who has made the trek over from Paris, and we are ecstatic to be visiting with him and talking about a subject that you guys have been asking us for a very long time.
Yeah, y'all have numerous comments have said, hey, can you make a list of shoes in that $200 to $500 range? This is the perfect time to do it because we have the wealth of knowledge of every brand out there. And Hugo, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
I'm very happy to be here with my beautiful wife. She's behind the camera. And I always say that because I have a tendency to say, I do this, I do that. No, we do this. Yeah. As you work
as
together,
we do as a pair, yeah.
We work, it's a family business.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Same here, right? It's with your father and the whole family is pretty much involved.
Yep. Everybody's involved with it.
Okay, same here because we are doing everything together and our son is editing everything. So it's really a family business.
It's fun that way.
Yeah, it is super fun. So thank you for having me. I'm super happy to be with you.
Well, it's great because as we discussed earlier, we have such a wide spectrum of an audience.
Yes.
We get a lot of folks that are college-age kids, folks in their 20s, 30s, maybe just starting out. We get a lot of folks that have been buying certain brands for years, out of the mall or at the discount stores. And then they've started watching our channel, they've started watching us redo shoes, and they said, hey, I have a newfound respect for quality shoes. Yeah. And then you have a lot of folks that watch our channel as well, but folks that, are hitting other levels of the finest bespoke shoes in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's what a great time to have just the knowledge that we have as cobblers, the knowledge you have of all the different, shoes and clothing and whatnot throughout the world, just to be able to share that knowledge. And, this is the perfect time to be watching because, like I said, we are going to bounce some great brands off to these folks that, are within an affordable price.
With pleasure. So what's your brief? You want any kind of shoes or under a certain amount? Or what do you want from me?
Let's stick with what you guys have been telling us, generally around $200 to $500. Okay. Those are generally the shoes, that are being sent back in to Heath and I to repair. Mm-hmm. And I think that, most folks can fall within that price range.
Okay. So first of all, I'm very happy to do this with you. I don't know which kind, I know your channel. This is why we came to you. Well, we can tell to the people, it's a funny, YouTube is a funny, it's like becoming a community.
It is.
Between YouTubers, right? Yeah, we don't know each other personally. This is the first time we meet, but we've been speaking a lot through Instagram, through stuff like that. And then it's funny because the people who are gaining some kind of audience, like we do, like you do, like a few other friends have, it's interesting because I used to tell people so many times, hey, listen guys, we have no competitor on the internet, we have colleagues. Because how many of us are speaking of real shoes or real suits or real artisanal stuff on the internet? Not many. We are a little team of people trying to say, hey people, stop giving your money to Hugo B, to Ralph L, or to Giorgio A, and try to think a little bit about what you buy. So it means beyond the passion for shoes and stuff like that, what we do with my wife and with my son and with my team in general is it's like a wake-up call to the people. Wake up.
Yes.
Stop being fooled by big brands who are taking your money and selling you plastic for the price of gold. Yep. And you know that in France we know this very well because the three biggest luxury groups in the world are French. LVMH, Hermès, Kering, all this is French. I have nothing against these people. This is wonderful success. But still, they participate to this massive marketing that creates some odd reaction. And in the world of shoes, we know that many people, when they discover the things that you are doing or we are doing, they said, oh my God, this is beautiful. And I thought I couldn't afford that. And they're very surprised that sometimes quality costs less than the brand.
And we hear that all of the time. And the thing about it is so many people, just like you said, are fooled by the brands that have the most advertising budget.
Yes.
So it's especially with a lot of men, it's all about ease of shopping. So if I go to the mall or if I'm with my wife, I let her choose my shoes.
Yes.
They don't know a lot, so they may walk into a department store. They may go to somewhere like Johnston Murphy, Haan, a lot of the brands that you're seeing out there in department stores, and the amount of money that folks are paying for those shoes doesn't always equate to quality.
And get the same shoe in every color.
Yeah.
Just to cover one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And then when they bring it to us after years of wear and they say, hey, I want you guys to resole this pair of Johnston Murphys or whatever brand it may be, what they don't understand is, one, these shoes, the quality is very hard for us to resole that shoe. And they were unaware that maybe it's, the heel block is hard plastic with wrapped in a leather veneer, and it's things like that they just don't know. So, we've enjoyed being able to break open shoes and show people the quality of the shoe that you're sending into us and educate them.
And did you notice, because it's the same for us, when people, they fall into the shoe passion. First of all, young guys, when they look at our shows or read our books or read our blog or whatever we do, the first time they put on a real pair of leather shoe, most of the time they send, it's like an orgasm for them. They send an email and say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm a real man. I feel like I'm a real person all of a sudden. Because most of them, they grew up without even trying on a real pair of leather shoes.
Yes.
And it changed everything. It's specifically, of course, the style, the look, and everything, but even the comfort.
And a lot of those young guys, they exude that, and it takes it to within the clothing, or they're going to that job interview. They're going to feel a little bit more confident.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have an example. Years ago, we had a good friend of us from Chile, South America. He was in Paris. He's a dentist, a professor. Very high-level guy, is teaching implantology in France. And he was in Paris when I had an event. I don't remember, it was a book signing of maybe the Italian Gentleman. I don't remember, darling. Italian Gentleman, I think. It was a massive event that we had. But he said, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you have an event, Hugo. It's a good friend of us. He was in Paris. So I said, but I don't have a suit. I said, listen, just buy yourself a good pair of shoes. It's going to be just enough. And you can come casual by yourself. And so we took him to Alton Bautier. It's a brand that we love. He bought a pair, and just with one pair of shoes, even him, he was looking at himself on the mirror and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe a simple pair of shoes. Well, simple pair of shoes, just a real pair of shoes, changed the whole picture.
Well, it just gives you exude confidence. You look at it and you just feel better. You walk a little more pep in your step. I know that's the way I am, even when I get a new pair of really nice quality shoes. I just put them on my feet and it's like, wow. The craftsmanship and the quality that went behind this, it makes me feel better.
So ladies and gentlemen, you know that we all love shoes at this table. And this is something that we could speak hours, and we're going to maybe speak hours because we have no agenda, right? We have no planning. It's just a real stuff. Okay, so let's start. Let's jump into the big swimming pool and say, okay, so you want a list. So I'm pretty sure you covered pretty much all the brands I'm gonna talk about, but it's gonna be maybe reshuffle a little bit all this and give you a clearer view. So I selected, you asked me, under 500, I selected, 14, 15 brands. But before going into the brands, I'd like to re-clarify, if I may, a few ideas. Because many people, and specifically since the COVID crisis, are becoming extremely, I would say at last, more interested in where the shoes are made, how are they made, with which technique. Back in the years when we started writing Parisian Gentleman with Sonia in 2000, I started in 2009, it's the prehistorical time almost. Nobody have heard about Goodyear, Blake, Rapid Blake, and all that. These are construction techniques. I suppose your public pretty much know this, right? Well,
it's funny, we still get a lot of questions sent to us yesterday. I posted, I was like, hey, what questions do you want us to ask? And that is still a big topic. What can you talk about Blake versus Goodyear welt and yada, yada?
Well, we're not going to go too much into this right now, but what is interesting now is that more and more people, and I noticed this after COVID, became more sensitive. Some kind of industrial patriotism, say, we want shoes made in, for example, in France, I want shoes made in Europe now. Like all of a sudden China becomes the big bad guy. You know, we don't want to buy anything from China, or we don't want to buy anything from further country like Eastern Europe, for example, because, for example, you know, or you may not know that there's a few countries who are coming up right now, like Romania, for example, a very interesting country in terms of shoemaking. Hungary also, have always been incredible. Eastern Europe also other. And so what I wanted to say first is that when I knew we were going to do something together, I said, oh, I have to find some American brand made in America. Because maybe some people here are sensitive to that. You know, they want to buy something which is made in their country. And then, well, of course, I thought about the two big elephants in the porcelain shop, you know, Alden and Allen Edmonds, because these are the two which we in Europe and in Paris, we know about. And I've been making a lot of different selections, and I never selected Allen Edmonds, and I received, I could say, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, well, I would say, bad comments or very, how do you say that, very insistent questions. What about Allen Edmonds? Are you some kind of racist with the US made?
Now, I remember reading some of the comments on one of your videos because I watched it myself, and I went and I started reading the comments, and you were getting hit by people saying, what about Allen Edmonds?
And I was just saying, and I can declare it officially now, I have nothing against Allen Edmonds.
No.
You probably know the brands much better than I do. The only thing is that for my taste, everything is subjective, right? Oh, yeah. So for my taste, the last were very puffy, very round, very... When I look at Allen Edmonds' shoe, I'm sorry to say, I see a big, tall guy. Yep. But me, I'm not that big and I'm not tall. And when I put I don't see myself into this, though it's such a matter of style. But we had a talk about that, and so recently I heard that Allen Edmonds was extraordinary quality back in the years, and that as far as we know, the quality dropped a little bit. So I don't know if you have information, if you want to go into that subject. But for me, I don't know Allen Edmonds sufficiently from a quality standpoint to judge their work. But do you have something to say about that?
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, as a lot of you guys know, Allen Edmonds is probably one of the biggest brands that we receive in our shop. Yeah. We resole a lot of Allen Edmonds. I own quite a few Allen Edmonds shoes myself. But one of the things that we've noticed with Allen Edmonds and that we hear in comment sections on blogs is just the quality level has decreased over the years because Allen Edmonds has been bought and sold, and
to a financial group,
and you know that once that starts happening, quality generally starts going down. And even, you know, we'll get old Allen Edmonds from the 90s, from the 80s that come into our shop, and then we'll get a lot of new ones, and you can tell a difference. Yep. It's the little touches that the sanding along the edges may not be as smooth as most of the other shoes in that same price category. The stench density along the sole and the welt is, you know, nowhere near what it used to be, you know, 20, 30 years ago.
The quality of the leather on the sole is changed. There used to be, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the company, but they went out of business in I want to say the 90s, and we'll crack open a shoe and they're stamped up underneath the heel. Okay. The US used to make some pretty good sole leather back in the day. And my guess is Allen Edmonds had bought their stock when they were closing down. They grabbed it, they used it for as long as they could until they ran out. And you can tell, wow, this is the original sole, and I can tell this is an old shoe, and it's just now coming in to be resold.
The prices, so you say the quality dropped a little bit, but the prices didn't drop.
The price did not.
Yeah, that's
so,
also...
And this is what I've also noticed with Allen Edmonds is they're still priced around the $400 price point, but they run sales continuously throughout the year. And if you're going to buy an Allen Edmonds, now I will say this, I do think the quality of Allen Edmonds has dropped drastically from what they used to have. But for the gentlemen who, and we receive questions a lot from guys that have bigger feet. Yes. I'm a size 15, I'm a size triple E. I can't
in the width.
Exactly, and I can't fit a lot of those brands that you're recommending. Yeah. Allen Edmonds has my size. And that is one of the great things I will say about Allen Edmonds is they have been around so long, their last sizes are just so vast that they can fit most men's feet.
Specifically in the US.
Correct. Yeah. So that does help a lot. The other thing is when it comes to repairability, Like I said, we receive so many Allen Edmonds, and it is a very easy shoe to resole. So I will give them bonus points in those two aspects.
Me too.
And so one of the great things, another great thing about Allen Edmonds is they're very easy to resole.
Yes.
And we receive hundreds of them a year, and it only takes an hour to resole these shoes. And one of the great things is if you send them in to us or your other cobbler, a lot of times we can upgrade it. So while the stitch density may not be as great from the Allen Edmonds factory, we can make all those little fine adjustments that used to be on an old Allen Edmonds. It's no problem for us to redo.
And my question is, it's so obvious that they have fantastic history.
Yes.
They have a collection of lots which is outstanding, I suppose.
Yeah.
They have a big power of possibility to buy some nice skins and nice leather. So it means that if they really want to be back at the same level of quality, it's not big changes they have to make. They just took some shortcuts a little bit. This is what you were explaining a little bit. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's not that difficult to fix.
Some cheaper materials and like in the blocks that cut some corners there, but if you're going to do that, I haven't seen a drop in the price to match that.
Okay,
that's the key.
Other than all of the sales.
They do a lot of sales, yes, and that is the thing. If you are wanting to go in that direction, you have the ability to buy numerous seconds, sales, so you can get that $400 shoe for $200. So
because they constantly
have.
So if you're going to buy Allen Edmonds, I always tell people wait until the sales come out.
Okay, and it's still a very good deal.
It's still for around $250 a little to $300. It's still a good shoe that again you can resole it over and over. So it's a shoe that you'll keep for years to come.
Okay, so I'm happy we had this discussion about Allen Edmonds because for the first time I'm going to show this on my channel also, and for the first time all our viewers from the US there will be, now you have the answer. I don't like the style of Allen Edmonds. I didn't know much about the quality. I know that was very decent to say. We can say it's still very decent quality. But that the people who wear Allen Edmonds, aficionados, they noticed that the quality dropped a little bit. So, Allen Edmonds, if you listen to us, we love what you do, and maybe there's a little bit that you can do to bring back some quality, because the thing they may not know is that the public, you have 350,000 followers on this channel. We have, if we mix the French and the English, 230,000, and probably, I would say, 1 million people all together. It means that this 1 million people, they are more educated than they used to be. And this is why brands now are pushed by the market sometimes. This new upcoming crowd, everybody says it's all about sneakers now and comfort. No, it's not true. How can you explain that so many brands are, every morning I discover a new brand almost, So if it were a dying market, you would not discover a new brand every morning. No. On the contrary, there's something is happening. A new generation is discovering the pleasure of a nice shoe, of beautiful leather, of this impression of being, almost a new man when you wear this kind of stuff. And there's a message also for Allen Edmonds and this company who are very established. You're going to be challenged by young men who know now what a Blake stitching is, what a Goodyear stitching is, what a hand-velted shoe is. They start to know, and so it should push. We have the same problem in the tie industry. Nobody wears ties anymore. I mean, a little bit. But now the people who are wearing tie, they wear a tie not because they have to wear a tie, it's because they love to wear a tie. So this is not the same public. And all of a sudden, all the crappy tie maker disappeared, of course, no more business. But the high quality, 7-fold, 11-fold, 12-fold, with a lot of silk, a lot of technicity into the tie, all of a sudden, there's a new market of people who are passionate with this. And I think in the shoe industry is the same, what is happening. I don't know if you see this with your clientele. Yeah.
I do think there's a renaissance movement going right now.
And I think, just as you mentioned, not only because of like channels like ours and yours and others out there that are educating the public, unlike as they've ever been educated before. Before channels like all of ours came together, I didn't know. Even I was the same way. You know, I was like, I'll just go to the mall and get myself a nice pair of shoes. You didn't know quality. And you're now, because of all of our channels, we're educating the public. A lot of the younger people, I hear this all the time from the Generation Z now.
Yeah.
These folks are growing up and they're saying, you know what, I'm tired of throwing all my stuff in landfills. I'm tired of the cheap disposable. Give me quality. And that's why I hear from so many of the younger folks that are going to vintage stores, buying nice old shoes, buying nice old clothes, and they want to keep them. And like you said,
getting an uptick.
they are. You know, it's just there's a rejuvenation amongst everything, style-wise, shoes-wise, and so manufacturers, and not to mention, the big manufacturers are in now competition with a lot of the folks we're going to talk about today. So you're either going to have to step up your game, or you're going to lose out on business.
Exactly. So let's step up into that. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that about Allen Edmonds. There's another brand that we like in Europe from your country, is Alden, but it's a little bit above the 500 price tag that we spoke about. And they're famous mainly for their cordovan leather, which is horse leather, right? Yes. And it's beautiful shoes, I have nothing to say, but they're not in our target for today.
And they also are known for, we're talking about Allen Edmonds fitting multiple size feet. Yeah. They do a 2 measurement. They do a heel width, and they do a, up at the ball of the foot, they'll take. So that is for people who have kind of an odd size foot width-wise, that is one that they can go to if they like that.
So let's start. I made a list. It may not be in the right order, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm sorry, everybody, if sometime I a little bit struggle. First of all, you have to remember I'm French, so English is not my mother tongue, even if I speak fluently. But I'm always very concerned about do you detect my accent? I suppose you do.
You're perfectly fine. You just talk. We will.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But it's funny for me. So you have to remember, and you have to remember also that I speak normally in euros and not in dollars. Yes. And it's going to be a little bit more complicated because some of the brands that I'm going to speak about, there are maybe some discoveries for you. I'm thinking about one which is located in Singapore, and they speak in Singapore dollars. So it's becoming a little bit, tricky to have the right price. But
the thing to remember is, like we said, guys, every shoe brand that we mention, most of these shoes are between $200 and $500.
Exactly.
So go look them up, and you'll be able to see what price.
So I will start with one which is for me probably the best value on the market right now. And so it's a big statement that I'm doing, but it's among the best value for, I would say, the entry line. For us, it's like in wine. I'm a wine amateur. I'm collecting wines. We live in Bourgogne, close to Chablis, so of course it's the right place to live. And I was always told by my grandfather and my father, they said to me, Hugo, there's a technical point. Having a great bottle of wine under $10, it's just impossible. You can have some, wine has been trafficked a little bit, add some stuff. In America, they go as far as adding some microscopic wood chips inside the wine so that it can sound like it's been aging in a barrel for 10 years, but it's just they put the wood directly in the wine, okay? So I remember my father and my grandfather telling me, Hugo, technically, it's impossible to have what we call a great wine in France. It's a culture for us. Under $10, $15, honestly, you can have some kind of a decent wine, but not a great one. It's the same for shoes.
Sure.
I think for me, the cut is under 180, I would say 160, 180.
Absolutely.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it, because it's ridiculous to save $40 and then not being able to resole your shoe in 3 years, or not to being able to maintain your shoe, to wear them. It's better to spend a little bit more upfront, but then you can have them for, I would say a long time. It's not a lifetime. It's decent good year that you can be resold by people like you. So it can last a long time. So for me, one of the, if not the best value on the market is from Singapore. So the brand, they call it CNES. I have no idea why. It's probably an acronym of a company, of a new establishment shoes, I don't know. CNES. So we're going to put pictures as B-roll because I couldn't bring all the shoes because my luggage would have been oversized otherwise, as you can imagine.
It's okay. We'll show pictures of all of this.
They are in Singapore. They are doing a very decent job, beautiful. I think they are, for their loafers, at $150, something like that. And for their Oxfords and derbies and boots, They're around, I would say, $250, something like that, $250, $290, which is an incredible value.
Absolutely.
When you're going to see the shoes, they are incredible. So they use some ancient techniques like wood pegging sometimes. You know, the blind stitching can be a little bit complicated to do. So they do wood pegging. So it's a little bit of shortcut, but it's stylish shortcuts.
And I'm actually a big fan because I'm a boot guy.
Yes.
And there's just something about seeing through the waist.
Yes.
Some pegs, and they're
nice.
That's
and
beautiful. Huh?
it is, and they're nice and polished. It's very old school, and it's got an elegance to it. It's got a rich history, and
exactly.
military shoes and boots, and
Now, see, this was a brand that we did not know about, and you introduced us to us, and we were looking over their website, looking at the shoes, and I agree with you, absolutely beautiful. For that price point, absolutely.
And there are cobblers initially, so they repair also. So they have this culture. You know, they are initially, I think it's 3 guys who joined to create this company. So it's made in Vietnam. You may or may not know that Vietnam is a very interesting place for shoes.
Yes.
Not only for labor cost, because they have some know-how and they have some technicity there. And honestly, everything I've seen from them were absolutely fantastic.
I agree.
Okay, you have to understand, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, if you order from CNES, we live in 2022, you may have to add some customs, right? You know, this is a little bit tricky these days, specifically when we receive something from the USA. I think it's a little bit better now, but you have to add maybe like $20, $30 of customs and a little bit of shipment, but it's still a fantastic value. CNES in Singapore.